Welcome to Sleeping Dog Video. Now, in recording my two other videos on the Rogue Wireless Pro, I noticed that my audio is still really low. Right now, the meters on my iPhone in Filmic Pro only show at this speaking volume, which is pretty much my normal speaking volume, is only about 50% or so. And that's with the slider, as I will say in my tests. I did some additional tests further on in this video. So this is my introduction part. I have the slider all the way set to high. So it's the highest gain possible in Filmic Pro. So I can't go any higher than that. If I speak loud, see it's still only going up to about 60-70% on the sliders. And I have it set to actually auto on. I'm speaking through my transmitter of my Rogue Wireless Pro transmitter. I have the non-auto set to 22, negative 22. And I have an issue, well, I'll say that in a minute. That's another issue because I wanted to try to talk a discussion around this and see if anybody has suggestions on how to get better audio. I think I might have one solution, but I got to figure out another piece of equipment. In a second, I'll show you what that is. So I'm trying to make this as quick, but as detailed, but as quick as possible. So anyway, I wanted to see how to get my levels higher. I don't want them to peak, obviously, and crack and clip, but I do want them a lot more volume than this is giving me, because in post it's just too darn difficult to get the volumes up to a level that I'm comfortable with. I like my levels to be higher than normal. Then when you go into, think about YouTube videos. How many YouTube videos have you watched where your volume on your TV is at least 90% maxed out? And that's a comfortable level. So you can still hear it well, but it's at 90%. I would like there, and then you have some YouTube videos which blast it, which is fine. I actually like those better because then you just turn your volume down to about 50-60% on your TV and it's perfectly usable. And it's not over modulating, what they call clipping. So that is, so that's what I like. So I like to have the volume on my TV to where if I want to raise it a little bit, I can. But then I can lower it a little bit if I want to. It's like about 50, or as I said, or 60% volume on my TV. That's the way I want to record my audio. But if my audio is so low and I have to up my TV to like 90, 95%, volume, I don't have the leeway to up and lower the volume. It may sound okay, and that's another perspective, but it doesn't give me the leeway that I like. So that's my personal preference, and you can tell me in comments if you think the same way. So because I do hear a lot of other people, and I assume they're using an iPhone, where their volume is the same thing. It's acceptable, but it's way low, and I have to turn my TV almost up to max. And I have a TCL, Dolby Vision TV. So, and I have to turn it up to max. And I'm using also the Apple TV and the HomePod speakers, the version 1 HomePod speakers right before they discontinued them. And always wondered why they discontinued them, but that's another story. So this is so what I found out, another thing is on the Rode Wireless Pro, that -30 seems louder to me than +0. When I look it up, when I ask Gemini, I look it up on the internet, it says that +0 should be louder than -30, but it doesn't seem that way with me. I don't know if they screwed something up in the update that I downloaded, latest update. But see if anybody has the Wireless Pro and can verify whether I'm correct or not on whether -30 sounds louder than +0, and if +0 for you guys is louder, then I would like to know what your interface, your cables and your connection is that's different from mine. Why mine seems that -30, it's reversed, is higher volume to me than +30. And I've actually done a test where I go to not +30 but +0. I've done a test where I've done from +0 to +30 and watched the meters as they speak. And I see the meters going up much higher as the lower I go. But that's contrary to what it should be doing. So I don't know if my cables to get it to work right with my phone is reversing the polarity or something. I don't know. Maybe some of you have a suggestion, because I would love to figure this out. I would love to figure out why the volume seems overall low, whether I'm using the Wireless Pro or I'm using something else, why it seems low, low, low. So I'm going to do another test on this video where instead of having it in auto mode on my Wireless Pro, I'm going to have it in manual mode, and I'm going to do tests at different volume levels. So I'm going to do one test at negative like 24, then I'm going to do maybe -15, -6, and then +0. And you tell me, I'm going to resist the best I can at upping the volume in post. And then you tell me what you think might be going on, or if you agree with me that the higher negative number, or you can call it higher negative number or lower negative number, however you would say it, is higher volume or lower volume, and what could be going on, so I can start to get good audio, because I'm going on a trip to Mexico. So I want good audio as I'm working. That's why I bought this Rode Wireless Pro. Okay, I wanted to split this into multiple clips. Now, what I wanted to say is, I'm going to do this. This is the Saramonic 2. It looks upside down and backwards in my, I have the selfie camera on my iPhone. It's easier to know where I'm looking. And so I think it'll turn out so you can read it on screen. So this is the Saramonic, Saramonic amplifier unit. It has XLR, which is the big stereo plugs for mics. And I just got an adapter to go into a 3.5 millimeter plug that then I can plug in my like so. I can plug in, you see my mic here to here. This uses a 9-volt battery. This uses a 9-volt battery. And together, check out some of my, I did one that was a 2000 2024 on my iPhone 14 Pro Max. No, 2023 video in my car week. So listen to that. It's a pretty good video to watch as a car buff. But listen to that and see what you think. And my 21, I think I had the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and I also use this. So listen to my 2021 videos and see what you think on the audio. On one of the car week videos, the opening session for either the Rotary Club or something video, there's a little peaking when it's Donald Osborne and Jay Leno usually does a show together. And Donald Osborne was singing the national anthem, which was really nice. I really loved that video because we were coming out of COVID. And so anyway, it does peak a little bit at the very end of his singing. He has a very good singing voice. But it does show that adding this amp as like a preamp really helps things. I'm trying to do all this, hopefully without having to use another separate preamp like this, because I'll do in another video, I'll show you my, I forget how to pronounce it, so I'll know it in the video, and it might be in my comment section, a link to it on Amazon for my gimbal. But this is a pretty nice gimbal, and I love it, and it works well. But that's all I'm going to say is I have it on the gimbal, and I don't have much places. On this gimbal, I have one hot shoe mount. So so that's where the receiver for the VideoMic Pro is going. So then I would have to double stick tape and find a very much smaller version of this, basically. This is nice because you have independent right and left volume controls. And right now, like in Filmic Pro, I have it all the way to the max to get enough volume to make it at least acceptable, the videos. But I don't have any control over left and right volume. So this is nice. There's play mode and a record mode on here, and I don't really knew what the difference was. And then there's a record. Let's see what it says on here. Plus 48 volt if you needed phantom power, and then on. So if like my mics already have power, so this just acts as a preamp. So so I do it on the on mode. If you needed phantom power, I believe this then would be the plus 48 volt. But the whole issue is, now you see this plug? What does that look like to you? A lightning connector. And so now it's not going to work with my iPhone 15, iPhone 16, because that's only a USB-C connector. I tried buying a USB-C to lightning connector, hoping that this would work, and even if this was bulky, this would probably solve my whole issue. I'm thinking, and you guys will have to agree with me or tell me that I can do it another way and still get acceptable volume levels. You see, like a regular camera, digital SLR, what I understand is, even though you want to keep the volume on the digital SLR as low as possible, that acts as a separate built-in preamp. So that helps you get better volume controls. even if you have to turn it up to +3 or +5. Now, so on the iPhone, I don't think you have any of that controls. I wish you did, and I wish there was a preamp. But right now, I'm gonna have to find, it looks like to me, to get the levels that I want. It looks to me that I'm gonna have to find a very small preamp that I can buy that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. There's one by Rode, but it's like $79, and I'm not sure I want to pay that much unless it's really going to do what I want it to do. I don't want to pay for it and then find out. I guess Amazon, I can send it back, which I started doing. At the beginning, I started just keeping everything, and that was too costly. So I learned how to send it back easily enough. I go down to my local UPS store down the street and have a good walk, have a good maybe half an hour walk back and forth. And it's a great day in the Bay Area, so I just send these things back. But I would like a unit like the Saramonic, if anybody has thoughts, that is about this size. Now, if I could put like this size, I could add 2 or 3 AAA batteries in it, and then I could use this as a preamp to the going into the or going into or coming out of my receiver for this before it goes into my iPhone. If I could additional boost it as a preamp, if you still call it a preamp, but you get my idea, I'll call it a preamp. A preamp is supposed to be before the first stage and then the second stage. So, but I'll call it a preamp and settle on that name. So if I had the additional preamp before it goes into my phone, I think that would solve the issue for me right away. But I've yet to find a preamp that's this size. So if anybody has suggestions on where I can get a preamp, or if they think I can still use this and get the levels I want without using a preamp, then I would love any thoughts, because any thoughts I will try, and I'll even make a video about it, trying those suggestions. And we'll see as a community whether it works or it doesn't work. Right now, I'm kind of, I love the idea and the quality and what you can do without getting into everything on this, because I'm trying to make separate videos on it. But this does a lot of stuff. But if it's not going to get high enough volume, and then on my YouTube videos, I just barely can hear the volume at high volume, that's just a piece of hullabaloo. That's not going to work at all. So that's what I wanted to say now, and then we'll get into, then I'll get into the test. And this you can kind of take as a test with the lapel mic and talking into it and talking basically about as loud as I want to be able to talk. So we'll see how loud that is, and I'll try again not to boost the gain in LumaFusion. So what's going to happen is I'm going to take these clips, put it into LumaFusion, maybe put a splash screen at the beginning, export it as Dolby Vision, and then I don't know if that's the cause too, if LumaFusion is exporting my audio as Dolby Vision Atmos audio. If it is, maybe that's one reason it's knocking the volume down, because I was wondering why the volume is so low when it seems the right volume when I'm editing on my iPad through the speakers, but I do have it at high volume. And then when I export in LumaFusion, play it back through the same volume level, so I haven't altered that on my iPad Pro M2. I left that so I had a consistent test, and it seems like the volume is much lower. So it's converting it because it is Dolby Vision video. So if it's from Filmic Pro, so I have it in that setting. So if it goes into LumaFusion as Dolby Vision video and Atmos audio, then maybe it's just because it's trying to separate channels or something, that, or it's doing the Atmos earphone thing that Dolby created, that it's dumbing down the volume levels, which I wouldn't want to do, and I would want to see maybe how to get around that, or how to amplify so it's loud enough but still has the Dolby Vision effect, which I love. So that's one thing to think about. So then I'm going to export directly into out of LumaFusion, and then upload to YouTube, and then have you guys listen to it and see if you can tell what might be going on. So thanks for watching and sitting through that part. And here are some of my tests. I might also add a few extra tests as I see that needed. In the first part that I talk about what I'm doing in this video as tests, and this part I wanted to say that it's with the lapel mic and the Rode Wireless Pro mic system, so connected to my camera. And you can watch my other video. If I leave it up, I'll have to see. The volume's so low on it. That shows all the cables, how I hooked this up. But it is, anyway, it's set to, on the receiver, which is which is RX. So the receiver is set to -24, and the transmitter for transmitter number 2, which is the one that works with the iPhone in this analog setup, is also set to 24 for the manual mode, but I have this set to auto. Now I don't know, maybe you guys know if it's true or not true, whether auto is independent of manual, meaning that if I have manual set to a pretty comfortable or high level, will auto peak at what I set the manual levels to, if you understand that. So because the auto is supposed to raise and lower the volume, opposed to if I speak soft like I'm doing now, or I speak really loud like I'm trying to do now to get the volume levels to be at a comfortable level. I'm speaking about as loud as I can talk. And then if I speak very low. So anyway, I wonder if it's based on that, makes any difference at all, or if it does independent. But that's what the volume levels sound like without upping the volume levels in post. So that's my test, maybe test number 1. In this test, I am still using the Rode Wireless Pro, and in this test I have the RX receiver set to now -15, and I have the transmitter 2 still set to -24, and in auto mode. So you can see what this sounds like and whether actually it may be louder. So I'm going to have to see. That's interesting. In this test, I have the receiver set to -9 and the transmitter still set to -24 for manual, but in auto, it should be in auto mode. Is the receiver again in -6, and it's peaking the meters really high. If it overmodulates the meters, I'm not going to worry about it because I'm trying to do a what do you call it, a good test without lowering the volume on my iPhone through Filmic Pro. So I want it to show what it's doing. So show if it's going higher, it's going lower. So on this test, if it peaks and breaks up, it is okay for this type review. Now, in this clip, it should be really peaking and breaking up. I have the receiver volume set to +0 or -0, whatever you want to call it. They call it +0. So that's the highest gain, and it should be, according to my meters on Filmic Pro, breaking up and sounding horrible. So we'll see how it works and how it works because I still have my transmitter set to auto mode. So we'll see if that affects it breaking up or not, or what it sounds like. In this test, I wanted to recheck. In this test, as I went down or up, if you call it up, I guess, from -24 to -15 on the transmitter, not the receiver. I have the receiver set to -6. And I can see that it's less volume. Now this is set to manual, not to auto mode on the transmitter for this test. But, and then I'll do a couple more tests where it's in manual mode, not in auto mode. And then I might go back to setting it at different levels, but setting it in auto mode and see what it sounds like. So this is -15, which is less high, and you would think -15 should be more volume on the transmitter, should be higher volume, but it seems to be lower volume. This is an audio test where I set the transmitter volume to -9 and the receiver volume is still set to -6. This is another test where I have the transmitter volume set to -4 and the receiver volume still set to -6. So transmitter volume set to -4. This is one of the last tests for the wireless Pro. And then I have 2 tests of just the iPhone volume and how that sounds and the volume levels from Filmic Pro and from the Apple app. So this one is set to +0 on the transmitter and it's set to still -6 on the receiver. So you can see whether I'm correct that the volume as it goes up to -0 to +0, that it is actually a lower volume level, which is not what it's supposed to do. as what I've learned from the internet. Maybe someone can tell me if it's supposed to do that, why it's supposed to do that, and not a more negative number, higher negative number is making it louder. That's my confusion. Welcome. So the following are two tests, one with the iPhone 16 Pro Max regular camera app in video mode, and then the Filmic Pro at the slider for the onboard screen slider for the audio is all the way up, and to see what the volume levels are like and what the sound quality is like. I'm actually liking, I don't know if there's any, to say first, I don't know if there's any volume level meters or anything in the regular camera app to adjust. So there's not really much adjustment there. So I'm thinking though that the Filmic Pro at least sounds better. I still think overall the volume levels on the iPhones, and meaning in the past and now, are just too low. And people have talked about that in past iPhones. And I think for the 16 Pro Max, it's also true that that they just haven't got it right for microphones. They have it tailored for earphones and listening to music, but for microphones, they really haven't tweaked it very well. So this is just my video of the two short tests. Welcome. This is a test to see how, so this is a test in the regular camera app. We're in video mode. So to see how the audio is at normal speaking volume, I'm roughly 2 to maximum 3 feet away from the camera on a gimbal tripod. So this is my test number 1. This is my test number 2 using the Filmic Pro app with the volume slider turned all the way up. To see how this sounds, it's within 2 to 3 feet from the camera, and to see also what I notice in the recording is there's a ton of room noise. There's going to be some room noise, but I think there's overlay a lot of room noise, especially if I increase the volume in post. It doesn't make it necessarily just louder. It makes it really super, super roomy, which is overtaxing the room noise sound more than just upping the volume. In post, I use LumaFusion for my post-production.